The letter is sitting on the kitchen counter, laminate surface, slightly peeling at the corner near the sink. The number at the top is $312,000. You are 28 years old, and this is a Saturday morning in March. You have been approved. Across town, someone else got the same letter. Same income, $67,400 a year. Same city, same number at the top. They set it down and made coffee. You are still holding yours. The decision in front of you is not which house to buy. It is whether to buy one at all. The buyer signs in April. The payment is $2,190 a month at 6.8%. That is principal, interest, taxes, insurance. It lands on the first of every month like a stone. The other person renews their lease. $1,740 a month. They keep $450. They feel ahead. The difference is one piece of paper on a laminate countertop. The decision is not really about housing. It is about time. How much of it you have. How much of it costs something. Running balance, divergence is $0. It is November 2026 and there is water on the basement floor. Not a lot. Enough. The plumber arrives on a Thursday and the bill is $1,880. You put it on a card. By the end of year 3, you have spent $4,400 on repairs. A water heater, a cracked flashing on the roof, that Thursday plumber. The other person spent none of it. They moved in 2026 to a place with granite countertops and an in-unit washer. Their rent is $1,920 now, but the building handles everything. Things break, but the cost lands somewhere else. They are saving $310 a month into a brokerage account. By the end of 2029, that account holds $14,200. They can see the number. You cannot see yours yet. Yours is inside the walls. It is in the difference between what you owe and what the house is worth. In 2029, you owe $289,000. The house is worth $381,000. That gap is $92,000. It does not feel like $92,000. It feels like a Saturday with a plumber and a card you are still paying off. That is the first place something goes quietly wrong, not in the account you can see, but in the gap between what a thing feels like and what it is actually doing. The renter feels ahead by $14,200. The buyer is ahead by $92,000. Neither of them knows it yet. Running balance. Renter appears plus $14,200 ahead. Buyer holds $92,000 in unseen equity. It is 2034 and the rate on a 30-year mortgage is 7.1%. You are 38. The renter is also 38. They have been watching the market for 6 years, waiting for it to make sense. A 2-bedroom in the same zip code listed for $489,000 last Tuesday. The lockbox is still warm from the showing before theirs. They walk through it. The kitchen has been updated. White oak cabinets, a single pendant light over the island. They do the math in the car on the way home. At 7.1% on $489,000, the payment is $3,108 a month. That is $918 more than what you were paying in 2024. On the same income, adjusted for 10 years of raises, it is still a different weight. Meanwhile, you owe $241,000. The house is worth $467,000. You have $226,000 in equity. You are not rich, but something has been moving in your direction for a decade without asking permission. The renter saved. They invested. The brokerage account is real. The market is not something you time. It is something that moves while you are deciding. They needed rates to drop. Rates did not drop. They needed prices to flatten. Prices did not flatten. The plan was to wait for the right moment. The moment did not wait. Running balance. Buyer equity $226,000. Renter brokerage account approximately $38,400. The papers are signed on a Wednesday in April 2036. The renter is 40 years old. The house costs $521,000. The rate is 6.9%. The monthly payment is $3,096. The movers bring a couch through the front door and it scrapes the freshly painted white trim and nobody says anything. There is a backyard. There is a garage. There is a document in a manila folder that says, "This is yours." It is yours until 2066. You will be 70 years old when this mortgage ends. The buyer at 28 signed the same kind of document in 2024. Their mortgage ends in 2054. They will be 58. That is 12 years. 12 years during which one person has a $2,190 monthly obligation and the other does not. The mortgage is not a home purchase. It is a time contract. You are not buying a house. You are deciding which years of your life will be spent inside that payment. At 58, the buyer walks out of it. At 58, the renter-turned-buyer has 12 years left. The income curves are already starting to flatten by then for most people. The careers are closer to ending than beginning. The payment does not know that. It arrives on the first of the month regardless. The gap is no longer about ownership. It is about when the obligation ends relative to when the income does. Running balance. Buyer equity $287,000. Late buyer enters mortgage at 40. Obligation runs to age 70. It is 2054 and the buyer at 28 makes their last mortgage payment in September. They are 58 years old. The check is for $2,190, same as the first one. There is no ceremony. The bank does not call. The automatic transfer simply does not happen in October. That is the whole event. $2,190 was leaving every month for 30 years. Now it stays. Not from discipline, not from a strategy, from a decision made on a Saturday morning in 2024 when they were still holding a letter on a laminate countertop. The other person is also 58. They are in month 217 of a 360-month mortgage. They have 143 payments left. Each one is $3,096. The total remaining is $442,728. That money will leave their account every month until they are 70. During years when most people's income is declining, during years when most people are deciding whether they can afford to stop working, the payment does not factor that in. It never did. The buyer at 28 redirects $2,190 a month starting in October 2054. Over the next 12 years, at modest growth, that compounds into something near $480,000. The late buyer spends those same 12 years paying $442,728 to the bank. The house is not the asset, the years are. Running balance. Early buyer frees $2,190 per month at 58. Late buyer carries $442,728 in remaining payments through age 70. Cumulative gap approaches $313,000 in redirected capital. Both people are in their kitchens on a Saturday morning. It is 2054. One kitchen has a window that looks out over a backyard they have owned for 30 years. The counter is worn smooth near the sink from that many mornings. The other kitchen is newer. White oak cabinets, a pendant light over the island. Still beautiful, still theirs, still being paid for. The renter lived well for 12 years while the buyer fixed a water heater and argued with an insurance adjuster over flashing on a roof. The brokerage account was real. The flexibility was real. The granite countertops were real. You do not get those years back regardless of which side you are on. But there is a number. There is always a number. The buyer at 28 is sitting in a paid-off house with $480,000 compounding quietly in an account they started filling in October 2054. The other person is sitting in a beautiful kitchen making a payment that will not end until they are 70. The number at the top of that original letter was $312,000. Not the price of a house, not from a bank. From a Saturday morning in March when one person kept holding the letter and one person set it down. The house was never the decision. The Saturday was. Final balance. Early buyer net position approximately $480,000 compounding free. Late buyer, $442,728 remaining obligation. Gap, $313,000 in redirected capital. 12 years of different Saturdays.